Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome to today's video. Today we're in the world of Brindleton Bay and we are building kind of like a colonial craftsman, I don't know, Victorian-esque type home. This is a very large home. It's a fairly long build today. I do apologize for that, but this is a 5 by 3 bedroom family home and it is in the lot, it's Chateau, which is the upper right hand corner of the map. It's in the Cavalier Cove neighborhood. You can see the lighthouse in the background and there's that beachfront. This is such a beautiful part of the world. It's definitely more where I think the affluent builds are. Now, the entire kind of design for Brindleton Bay is, I think it's more New Hampshire. So they have a lot of Dutch colonial style builds. So I initially wanted to, but I can never get the roof detailing right for those types of builds. So this build started with the concept of having a wraparound porch. And then I decided to add the more towered circular section. I've been experimenting more with different room types and shapes, diagonal rooms and curved rooms. And I want to build things that are very new to what I would build, and it's very elegant. A lot of the builds that I'm doing, a lot of builds in February you would have seen last month were of that nature. I built this all around the same time. And I've just been really loving and enjoying these types of builds. So you'll have to let me know in the comment section down below, is this something you would like to watch? And if it is something you'd like to watch, please consider liking, subscribing and commenting on today's video. Your support means a lot. So at this point we have the shell of the build and I wanted to add in some further detailing. So we've got these kind of symmetrical twin chimneys. And I added on the side part, and that side wing that has the circular section is actually a really lovely part in the build. It has this front room, which is, I guess, kind of like an entertainer's space. We have a bar in there, we have a piano, we have a microphone, and we have these like lounge chairs. And I think that when I was building this, I kind of felt that maybe this sim was either a celebrity or maybe a singer-songwriter, or maybe they are, I don't know, but there's music in their life, or music is a focal point in their life, and I really enjoyed creating that space, and I'm so excited to show you when we move inside for the decorating. So with these curve sections, when you have, these are the smallest curve sections you can get, so with those rooms, only certain windows are compatible for those curved sections. So the windows I've used around the entire build, just to make sure that it was all cohesive, are actually from Lovestruck. I really like these because they're plain, but they also have a really good, like, I guess, window seal and like construction to them, so that they actually feel like they would fit a more kind of colonial build. And they have an elegance about them as opposed to just some of the standard base game windows, which feel like they would be in more of a suburban house, as opposed to this, which is definitely more upscaled. This is meant to be an upscaled build. And it turns out this is one of my favorite builds I've ever built. So I'm so excited to move inside and talk through the floor plan and the decorating, because it did take me a while to kind of map everything out, because there's only one portion of the build that's actually 2 stories. The remainder, you know, the downstairs is obviously a larger portion, and due to that we start with our stairs. So we are moving inside for the floor plan, and I'm just kind of mapping out the left to the right side and how I want to go about it. So what I did differently in this particular build is I actually put the kitchen kind of in the center of the build. Normally I have the kitchen, living, dining in one wing, and then I have some bedrooms, maybe even just like a master bedroom on the other side. But in this particular build, we have the kitchen in the center. So you walk in, you have an entryway, and to the, hang on, I always get my left and right. So to the right side of the build, that curved section, that actually becomes a kitchen. So you have a kitchen and a small dining in there. You then have a long hallway, which is just, I think it's like a sitting area. You then have a second hallway, and that brings you to the right side, the far right side of the build, where we have that entertainment area that I was going on about. On the opposite side, so if you walk down the hall across from there, so across from these archways that I just put through, that is actually a downstairs bedroom. It's a weird spot for a bedroom, but I had the room for it, and I thought that that could be like a spare bedroom or something like that. Okay, so that's the right side. You then kind of loop back around to the left. You have the formal living room, which is that big space to where the back door is to the property. And then as you walk to the left side, I believe there is a master bedroom, a study, a laundry, and maybe the downstairs bathroom. And then you have upstairs, and then upstairs has another further, is it 3 rooms? Yeah, you have a further 3 rooms upstairs. Yep, so there must be 2 downstairs. Yep, so there's the 2, like the master bedroom and that adult's room. And then upstairs, I believe we have a teens room and maybe 2 child's rooms and an upstairs bathroom. And it's just a beautiful build. It's a lovely family home. And I really love the Strangerville doors that I've used. They have an elegance about them, but they're still really good for scaling and sizing. Sometimes the doors we got from Cats and Dogs, I very rarely use them. I just don't really like them. And I feel that these doors are better. So I've used a lot of the paintings, and I've used a lot of the assets, obviously from the Cats and Dogs expansion, but I've paired it with other items that I feel like have that same kind of style. Like these chairs are from Love Struck, and they're in that like seashell shape. And I love that has like a coastal vibe, and also the yellow paired perfectly with the yellow in the couch. And we've just gone in with a basic rug. This is your formal like living room here. So back through that archway is the entranceway. And this is definitely more of a family space. It's more casual. Now, curtains were the hardest thing for me to work out in this particular build. I did start with the storybook nursery ones just because they had a very, I don't know, they kind of had a bit of an old-fashioned vibe. And that's kind of what I got from this Chateau build. It was like a mixture of like coastal meets Victorian, aged, old kind of like decor. I have allowed room for pets in this build, so I think I've definitely got room for a cat. I've got a giant cat tree there. And this is actually the bathroom, the downstairs bathroom. It is massive. So I put in a shower and I put in a bath. And it's a very spacious room, very simply decorated. I've used the Country Kitchen Kit counters in here. I believe these are the ones I used in the kitchen. I'm not too sure. We do have laundry in this build. I would have spoke over it previously. The laundry, which I think is actually across from here. Yeah, it's tucked behind the stairs there. You then have this kind of hallway that kind of leads you into where the master bedroom is. I've just made this into a study nook, and I think I actually, from memory, put in an aquarium. Yes, I never put an aquarium in my builds, but it came with the Cats and Dogs expansion pack. We're building in Brindleton Bay, so I thought, why not? Why not add that in, putting in a couple of paintings, and we're now back to the front of the build, heading to that right side. We're going to start with the kitchen. So I really liked the idea of having this kitchen in that curved area because I always love putting dining tables in the curved area. For a big house, it actually has a small kitchen. It's not a very big kitchen compared to what you think a house like this would have. And I think that that's interesting, where it's spacious in the sense of, sorry, it's not really, I don't know if I'd call it spacious. It's definitely well used. I think that I have crammed a lot of bedrooms and a lot of things into the space than what I could have. You definitely could make this a 3x2 bedroom house and be really spacious and have rooms for activities. You could have a painting room. You could have a gym maybe. Maybe you could have like a garden area or like a greenhouse. You could do so much with this particular build. And speaking of that, this build is available on the Sims 4 gallery. My gallery ID is Antoinette44, is in the description below if needed. Feel free to download this house, play in it, let me know your thoughts. I really enjoy all of the assets that come from cats and dogs, and the combination of that and like Get Together and Strangerville, it just, I don't know, this is just where I'm at. And I think it probably is to do with the most recent expansion pack. It very much has that kind of vibe, and I've been building so many Victorian-esque type homes, and it's just been what I've been enjoying. This build was built before the stair update, so that's why the stairs in this particular build don't have, any kind of curved railings or, any manipulation there. But I think this build would have really suited that update as well, just because of, I really like how, the curved look is. This is kind of a weird spot, and I've got a couple of these in builds that I've been doing recently where I've got hallways and I never know what to put in a hallway. So this particular hallway was wide enough for me to put like a sitting room. I really love the use of the grandfather clock. I thought that was really sweet. Again, another item I don't really use. And then you have this additional hallway that I really didn't know what to put in here. So it was quite a narrow hallway. So I just put in some plants, that ottoman with some cushions and a rug. This rug I really liked, and I thought that it made sense to have this kind of opulent, like entertainish kind of rug in this area of the house, because we are now moving into that entertainment room. I put the one tile wide bar object in. These are perfect for an indoor space, but they're also perfect if you've got limited room. And I've paired that with the couches that come from businesses and hobbies. I guess these are like the modern objects that kind of, that you would use to do like a jazz lounge. I really like it. And I think that I've done it in a really clever way where I've positioned them in a way that you could have, okay, clusters of conversations. The Sims might talk over here and talk over here. And it's just, I really love this space. It's probably my favorite spot in the entire house is this room. And I think it's because I don't ever do this. Like I don't ever have a room that's really dedicated to like skills. Normally I just kind of, I don't know, put an easel somewhere or put a piano in like a living room, but I never make a dedicated space. And I think it makes so much more sense for gameplay purposes to have that. All right, landscaping. A lot of the landscaping was debug. I found these beautiful trees in debug that came from the surrounding neighborhood. Brindleton Bay has one of my favorite trees just in the general catalog. They're the trees I've used the most around the build. They are beautiful. I use them all the time. It's just, you can tell that this is just one of my favorite worlds to build in because I always just come back to it. Whenever I'm, there's a couple of worlds where it's like, if I don't know where I'm going to build and I definitely want to build like a family home, it's most likely Brindleton Bay, Newcrest, Willow Creek, San Sequoia. It's generally those type of neighborhoods, but there are definitely some neighborhoods that I want to build more in. I every now and then I have to scratch my ranch homestead type of itch, so I really want to build in Henford-on-Bagley and in Chestnut Ridge, and I want to build in Gibby Point. Ever since Adventure Awaits came out, I feel like I have not really explored that pack. I haven't really explored the landscaping, the world, and I don't really know what type of build I would build there, but I really wanted to design something there because, I don't know, that pack just feels like it's a destination world, even though it's not, even though you absolutely could have a sim that lives there. I haven't really done that and built a home for a standard family in that world. So maybe that's something I could do. That and San Myshuno. I definitely have not built enough in San Myshuno. Okay, back to the landscaping. So we are just finalizing the landscaping. I'm just putting in some pathing. We have that beautiful fountain. I want to say the fountain comes from Get Together. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's such a beautiful fountain. Now, speaking of greenhouses, I must have totally forgot that I actually do put a greenhouse in this build. I had a lot of space, and this was the type of build where even though it's a family home, I didn't feel that it needed a playground and, certain children's items. I don't know, it felt like this was more of an upscaled home that wouldn't have something like that. So I've decided to build a greenhouse, and that's just to use up some of the space in the lot. These glass windows are from Life and Death, actually. I don't have the Greenhouse Haven kit. It is apparently a very good kit. I have not used it or played it, but that would have come in handy for this particular build. All right, I believe we are starting with the master bedroom, and we've gone with the Princess Cordelia bed. This bed is like 8,000 plus simoleons. But again, this is the type of build where I would see a bed like this. And that's what I'm talking about with like the base game paired with like items from, cats and dogs, where I just feel that they complement each other so well. So we've gone in with the navy blue. I love navy blue. It's one of my favorite colors. It's probably my favorite shade of blue to begin with. And I paired it with the kind of burgundy red tones that are in the rug. The rug comes from Strangerville, actually, along with the Strangerville paranormal stuff. Maybe paranormal stuff. Yeah. Okay, we are now on to the other end of the house, which is where that entertainment area is. And this is just the adults' room. This is just a very simply decorated adults' room. There's nothing too special in this particular room. We do just use a base game bed. And this room's a little bit more on the rustic side compared to the master bedroom that had that Princess Cordelia bed. And it was very opulent. This is more rustic, if that makes sense. And yeah, just used in some stuff from Horse Ranch, Cottage Living, base game. Just putting in the wallpapers. I think I do go back and change the wallpaper in the bedroom. This brown color shade, this burnt kind of rust color on the curtains is my favorite. And I really love that space. It's like kind of a mustard yellow wallpaper paired with that brown curtain. So good. We are officially upstairs. So I didn't know. I never knew what to do with these hallways, but I've used these beautiful kind of portraits that come with cats and dogs because it fits the theme, and they're very like looking over at the ocean, the lighthouse, which is where this lot is kind of located. So I think that it fit perfectly. The rugs from Growing Together worked really well in this particular build. So upstairs you have this tiny hallway, which essentially just acts as a hallway for all the doors for the bedrooms and the bathroom. And we are in the first kind of, I guess, child's room. This is someone that loves cats, clearly. I've never used this particular shade of the bed, and it had cats all over it. And I decided to use a combination of cats and dogs and My First Pet stuff to kind of create this really fun room. I really like this room. I've never used that rug before, but it's perfect. It kind of matches the print of the cat that's on the bed and also of the stuffed animal. So I really like that. And it's just, yeah, quite nice. We are then moving into, I believe it's the Teeds room. There's so many rooms in this house that I like. There's so many. And this is definitely one of them. If it's not that front kind of entertainment room, it's this bedroom. There's something so simplistic about this room. It's a girly kind of room. It has that same vibe as the master bedroom with the Princess Cordelia bed. This is not the Princess Cordelia bed, but it's still kind of that princess vibe. And I really enjoy it. I apologize if you can hear my dog. There must be a bird outside and he wants to play. Okay, back to this room. So yeah, pink, it's kind of girly in here. Use the a lot of stuff from high school years. That's where that bed comes from. The third and final bedroom is this child's room. And this was an interesting shaped room. It had this kind of like section off to the side. And I decided to put in a dollhouse that comes from the little campus kit. And I just kind of made that like, that's the play area. This is where the bed is. And then this is where the, I guess the dresser is. This uses a lot of the little campus kit, and I don't know, I would say that this is more of a masculine room, but it's definitely gender neutral. It's very similar to a lot of the other children's rooms that I've been creating recently, and it's still got more of that rustic vibe with the dresser and the bed. Okay, I'm just changing the curtains. This is the balcony that faces the back of the house. So this is like on top, like top floor on the balcony. We put in a woohoo blanket kind of item. I don't know why, but I guess it's more skill, like more things to do. And then we are just finalizing the build with doing the exterior because I forgot. So we put in a clothesline, we put in a monkey bars, no, swing set. This one comes from Businesses and Hobbies. You have the hopscotch. I put in the butterfly Avery. I think it's called an Avery because I just feel like this build would have something like that. And it was also a very chunky item that I could use to fill the space. And I really enjoyed that. All right, we are finalizing the build now with a few more plants and a little bit more of the landscaping, just putting in some hydrangeas and some rocks to kind of add dimension to the exterior. Wow. If you hear my dog, I am so sorry about that. So, yes, and then the fountain, I think, yeah, we are putting some benches. These come from Get Together, and just some more casual like benches on the front porch. I really probably could have done a lot more on this front porch than what I had done, but I think it's the placement of the stairs. And yeah, okay, we are now live in game, and look how beautiful this build is. I could stare at this thing all day. I'm so proud of it. And we are live in game. We're going through the tour. So you enter in, you have this beautiful entranceway that has a little sitting area, and it's very inviting. You then head to the right side of the build where you have the kitchen and dining. You then have kind of this open sitting area that it's just quite nice. You have a bookshelf and some decorative items. You have the chess table. You then head down the hallway to literally just a hallway for you to enter through a adult's room. So this is the first bedroom of the house. And then across the hall, you have that entertainment space, which is my favorite space in the entire house. It is so beautiful in there. That piano comes from Wedding Stories. And I love the burgundy couches with the curtains. Back through, you head to the left side of the build. You have the formal living room, which has a little bit more of a family space there. You have your cat tree. You then have your laundry, which has your litter box. I did remember. And then across from there, you have the downstairs bathroom. You then head through the hall down to like a little study area, which then leads into the master bedroom. From the master bedroom, you also have an ensuite. Quite nice in there, very simple. You then head back around and then upstairs. You have a basic foyer kind of area. Oh, fixing the wallpaper. I think another computer up here. You have the first, I guess child's room. So this is the last one that we decorated together. Across the hall, you then have your other two bedrooms. You have that teens room, beautiful room. Probably my favorite bedroom of the house. And then across the hall from there, you have the last bedroom, which is the child's room, which is the kind of cat themed child's room, which is so cool. So fun in there. And you also have the upstairs bathroom, which is just a very standard bathroom, very similar to the other two bathrooms in the home. Head back out the hall onto the balcony. You have a blanket, you have a telescope, you have a sitting area, picnic basket. Then head outside and you have all sorts of stuff. You have an entertainment area, butterfly aviary, hopscotch, children's things, and you have the greenhouse, which is super fun. So that helps if you have seasons, you can still grow the plants and flowers that you want to grow. And that is the build today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this build as much as I enjoyed building it. It was such a blast, and I think it's one of the most beautiful builds I've ever built. And I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.